So this integrated math 3, this video is going to deal with the two Desmos problems on assignment 2.04. So let's go ahead and do those. The first one gives you an equation that looks like this. And the question is what I know about this function, and it asks you to identify what is happening to y as x approaches negative infinity and what happens to y as x approaches positive infinity. So let's go ahead and put in the equation 9 minus x, and you go down to the keyboard down here on Desmos and square it. And that's what it's asking for. And you can use the plus and minus signs to zoom out, or you can go into the wrench and change the settings, but it's some versions don't have these plus and minus signs. I think all of them I think what you'll get now does though. Okay, so it's an inverted parabola. You can zoom way out and you can see kind of what it looks like. Basically what you want to do, first thing I want you to do is I want you to check and see if that's the same as, by the way, you can just go ahead and hit enter and it'll take you to a new line. You can type in a different equation. Well, is that the same as negative x squared plus 9? And it appears to be. So I can click on or off each of these curves. I'll click off the first one, and there's the second one. I'll click off the second one, and there's the first one. So they are exactly identical. You can see I'm clicking them both on at the same time. They're overlapping. So those two functions are the same. You could also break this in. You could factor this. Notice that it's the difference of two perfect squares, 9 and x squared. So I could call this 3 minus x and 3 plus x. And there you get the green one that you're seeing there is overlapping the first two. All three of them are on right now. So they're all overlapping each other. So whether you graph it in factored form or in expanded form, it comes out to be the same. So the question though was, the next question was, as x approaches negative infinity. So the x-axis is the one moving sideways, horizontally. As it goes towards negative infinity, so negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, all the way and keeps going to the left forever, what happens to the y function or the f of x function? And it goes, you can see what's happening as it goes down, if I zoom out especially. As I go further to the left, it goes further down. If I go way out here, it goes way, way down off the screen there. So as you go to negative infinity on the x-axis, you're going to go towards negative infinity on the y-axis, or they call the f of x axis. F of x being the same thing as y. Okay, so that's the answer to the one that says as x approaches negative infinity, that's the lazy 8, the sideways 8, f of x approaches negative infinity. Now, as x approaches infinity, the second one, this is problem 8, the second one, as x approaches infinity, f of x does what? So as you start going way to the right, 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, then the curve will continue on the y-axis to go down towards negative infinity also. So the answer to that question is as x approaches infinity, f of x approaches negative infinity. So they both approach negative infinity no matter which way you go on the x-axis. All right, let's go ahead and let's take these out and let's go to the next function. Okay, so we have another function. If you look at number 9, excuse me, that's the blue 9. The 15 next to the equation is not what we're talking about here. Number 9. So you have this equation. Okay, that's the equation that you're given. X plus 1 times x minus 1 times x plus 2. And if you go down here, you can zoom in on that and get a sense that it's kind of like a zigzag, kind of an S, like a sideways S, sort of, and it does that. Now, if you look at what the zeros are for this, we learned how to determine those. The first one would be x plus 1, the zero would be negative 1, and there you see that it passes through the x-axis at negative 1. For the x minus 1, the zero for that would be 1. In other words, what makes that go to 0? 1 minus 1 would go to 0. So the second x there is a plus 1. There it is right there. That's the x-intercept there. And that last term, x plus 2, what would make that go to 0? If x equaled -2, and there it is over there. So that's what zeros are. It's where where the graph crosses the x-intercept. Now I went ahead and did something. I expanded this, and it didn't ask you to do this, but I did it. So let's go ahead and let me get my keyboard up here. And it's going to be x, and I'm going to raise that to the third power. And that's going to be plus, and then it's plus 2x, then it's minus x, and it's minus 2, and that should be 2x squared actually. And there you go. And you see it's exactly the same. I can turn off the first one, and there's the second one. I'm going to turn them both off. Now I'm going to turn on the second one, and there's the second one by itself. I turn them both on the same time, they perfectly overlap. So it's the same equation. One of them is in factored form, and one of them is in expanded form. It's asking the question, as x approaches -infinity, that means you're going to the left on the x-axis. What is h of x? That is, what is the y value, or what does the function go towards? And it's just like the last one. It goes down and down and down and down and down. So I go to the left, 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 left. To match up with the curve down there, it would be going down. So that would be -infinity. As x approaches -infinity, h of x approaches +infinity. And as you go towards +infinity on the x-axis, so to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to infinity, the function, the line you can see goes up out of the top of the graph. So that would be +infinity. So -infinity, -infinity, +infinity would be the answer for that one. What I know about this function, it's a cubic because it has a positive x to the third term, cubic term. It starts off low on the left and ends up high on the right. If I were to put a negative sign in front of the x to the third term, it changes shape, but also notice that it goes from high on the left down to low on the right. So it goes towards infinity in opposite directions when you put a negative sign in front there. Okay? That's all you needed to do for this, for the graphing. We'll do some more graphing on Desmos and some more projects on Desmos. So that takes care of the entire assignment for 2.04 zeros. And go ahead and do that this weekend. Try to have both of these done by Tuesday. That would be Tuesday, October the 20th. That would be 2.04 and 2.05. And for period 1, we'll do 2.06 on Monday. And for period 3, we'll do 2.06 on Tuesday. Okay, take care.